Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Bonney Weekly podcast. One of my longest listeners reached out and asked me to do another one. So, you are, brother. This one's for you. I thought it was about time that I did another one. I'm on a new microphone, actually, as well. I've actually put some money into buying a microphone, so rather than just talking into my phone. So it might sound a bit better, a bit more consistent.
A bit fancy pants.
A little bit less amateur night. So, and as you may have noticed, the wife is here.
Hello.
Have I ever given you a name? Did we ever give you a name? You've just been the wife.
No, Mrs. Just Mrs.
Mrs. Bonney.
Yeah.
If I'm Bonney, you'll have to be Clyde.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you've seen my Instagram post earlier, and if you're not following me, go and follow me, William Bonney 838 on Instagram. You see a bit more of me and a little bit of my face. And so I got made redundant again. I first got made redundant during the lockdown, or at the very beginning, basically first day of the lockdown. I did actually handle it quite well. I just exercised, found another job, and cracked on.
Yeah.
But mental health takes a battering from it.
Yeah.
And what didn't really help is I've had the last week off. I've been off work for the last week, just a bit of annual leave. And basically I switched on my emails on Friday to try and book another driving test because I failed my driving test again. And I noticed that all my holiday had disappeared, so I quickly went into my emails, and I found an email in there on Friday night, sent at about 8:30, saying that I'm being made redundant. And there's a 45-day consultation period where they're going to try their best to try and find me another job. But I looked on the sort of jobs page, and there's like 6 jobs across the whole southwest, or the whole south, sorry, because I might as well say it now. I work for the NHS, or I don't work for the NHS anymore. And they're merging their zones to try and cut money, and also to try and cut money, they're cutting 4% of their staff, and I just happened to be in that 4%. So it's been handled really shoddily.
It really has.
Raging today. A bit of the old me's coming out, but I've also handled it really well. So I've just dealt with it by kind of sitting inside, moping, not doing anything at all, trying not to react in any way, and then finished off by some serious skipping. It's dark out there, but I think I'm starting to wear a hole in the grass. But that's a good thing, rather than ending up in a police cell. Oh, and can we talk about quickly how one of us nearly ended up in a police cell the other night, as we talk about mental health issues and things. And it wasn't me for this time. I was actually having to be the secure, safe one, stopping the wife from going and smashing Subway up.
It takes a lot to bring me down, but that particular week fucked me over. It was horrible from start to finish. I'm on call for a week, so 7 days, and it was horrendous to say the least. It was just really stressful. A lot of shit going on. I'm not going to go into details, but it was just a lot going on, and there was a lot to deal with. And then to top my week off, on Friday, you got me Subway.
Yeah, I thought I'd do a good thing, and I just ordered Subway without telling her. It's sort of your favourite little treat takeaway, isn't it? Kind of, yeah. When things are going
guilty pleasure.
So I didn't even say anything. It takes about half an hour to get here. I thought, there'll be a knock at the door. She'll answer. Food will be there. And what was your first instant notice straight away?
I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Why? It feels light.
Yeah, so they'd only sent her a 6-inch instead of a foot long.
And 2 cookies. They fucking missed 2 cookies off for you.
Yeah, so instead of 4 cookies, we got 2, and they got a 6-inch instead of a foot long. So we ordered it again. I got a refund from Deliveroo, and then we ordered it again. So basically another 6-inch and 2 cookies. And they sent you the 6-inch, but no 2 cookies. They didn't even toast it, did they?
Didn't even toast it. Didn't have any cookies. So I was Googling the telephone number for this particular restaurant, and I couldn't find it, which was winding me up even more. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going down there. And you're like, you can't go down there. I was like, fucking hell, I'm going down there. I'm going to fucking tell them what a bunch of retards they are. Fucking can't make a fucking sandwich properly. They even had the bloody receipt in front of them. It says on there, 12-inch. It's not half. 12. Fucking idiots. Just thinking about it's winding me up.
So yeah, you could have quite easily ended up in the cells.
I was ready to be fuck it. I was ready to go nuts. I was like, you coming? You're like, no. I was like, I'm fucking going to go down there.
So the bringing this back to sort of that, someone getting your order wrong at the end of a bad week isn't a very big thing. But when you're at breaking point, it
was like the whole fucking world was out to get me, and I'd had a fucking enough.
I know.
I'd had a fucking enough by Friday, and it was just like, oh my God, no, don't fuck with my food.
So
Oh,
this takes us back to, so when you're at the end of your tether, you kind of make bad decisions. And when I was being made redundant, when I found the email, Saturday morning, I kind of just sat there. It was a couple of hours. I was sitting there until you woke up. So it was just going round and round in my head. We're in obviously.
I woke up at 8, mind. Wasn't like 10, 11.
We're in like a cost of living crisis at the moment. So, things are difficult out there. And I was back to kind of that mode. I was almost like scared from the lockdown again. That, I just wasn't going to find a job. I'm not going to be able to provide. It's coming up to Christmas. So it's going to be a kind of like cold and bitter Christmas. It just instantly made me think of, well, I've got tools at my disposal. I can go out there and clean this town up. It won't take me long. I could even set up a little Facebook group called United Against Drug Dealers, and get locals to snitch on the drug dealers in their area, and I could just go around and clean them all up, terrorize them, take all their money and drugs, and I wouldn't have to worry about being made redundant again. And I thought I could probably do that in about a month, and I'd have bags of cash and no problems.
Where's that going to get you?
Bags of cash and no problems.
No problems.
Yeah,
You've
I
got more
can't see.
fucking problems.
There wouldn't
No
be any.
fucking point.
Yeah, there's never going to be any retaliations
No, of course not.
or the fear of retaliations. It's the thing. Those are the secondary thoughts that you don't always quite think of. But that was where my mind went back to, and I've said this before in other podcasts. It becomes almost like I'm a little ashamed of it, that is always where my mind comes back to. But then secondly, and this kind of ties in with other stuff that's happened in my life. So one of my long-term friends came back from. He's been away for about 8 years, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He kind of disappeared for a bit because things were getting a bit hot around here, and he's back. He's one of my best pals, but he was one of the guys I used to get up to no good with, really, and I obviously wanted to make sure this time, if we're knocking about together, then
He's a bad influence.
we're not getting in any trouble. But so obviously, when I get made redundant, my mind goes back to sort of how do I make money fast, and how do I stable my boat fast. My instant thought was, me and him could go to work with resources that I have available, and we could make money. It's slow. It takes time to kind of build up and get to kind of big bucks kind of money. But in a year's time, we wouldn't ever have to worry about money again. And but then it just comes with so many problems because you're delving into that world. You can never just go into drug dealing and only take the profit and none of the bullshit that comes with it.
It's all bullshit.
A big chunks of it are. And the
bullshit.
longer you stay in it, the more. And obviously, the more you think back, the more crimes I've committed. I've never got away with it. Eventually, I've always been caught.
Exactly. The universe trying to tell you stop fucking around.
So it's just as you get back onto the police radar again, and it doesn't take long. It may take a couple of years to get onto the police radar, but somebody will snitch on you, or somebody will talk, or the police are normally locals, so they grow up hearing your name while they're in going through college and stuff because you're the local drug dealer, and then they become the police.
Yeah, but you might have dropped off their radar, but you never dropped off their radar fully. They're like, oh, he's back up to no good again.
Exactly. So it probably wouldn't take long to get caught and in trouble. So but it's just like I said, those are my instant sort of bolt reactions to being made redundant, being possibly because they've messed up my holiday as well, because they give you enough holiday for the year, and then now they're cutting that short. I'm going to owe them time. So not only am I going to be made redundant, I haven't been there 2 years, so I'm not going to get any package, and my wages are going to be short, like a week short, because I'm being bummed on that as well. So I've been feeling pretty low over the last weekend, and obviously my wife's been a constant stream of support for me, as always. We went for a bit of a party, didn't we, on Saturday?
We did.
We got dressed up and boogied.
We did. It was good fun.
It was good fun. I don't really like alcohol because the way it makes you feel the next day, and the foolish things you can do while you're drinking.
We weren't. Oh Christ, we were angels compared to what's going on.
I know. There's a lot of people who forget how much or little they can drink.
Yeah.
and they soon find. And a boat party is the worst place because you can't go anywhere. You're stuck on that boat for like 3 hours.
Good fun though.
It was good fun. So other than dodging my own criminal instincts and trying to avoid you from being banged up, something I wanted to talk about this week was he's a friend of ours. I won't mention who he is because I don't want to embarrass him. But it's someone who always seems to find himself at the wrong end of a bully. He always, he's a grown man. He's not a small guy. He knows how to handle himself. He's perfectly comfy around really dangerous people. But it just seems whenever he's in the vicinity of a bully, they gravitate towards him. And what do you think about that?
I do feel I feel for him because obviously it's not a pleasant experience. We've been there as kids and stuff, but I think going through it as an adult, actually going through it as an adult like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had that. I've never had anybody just come up to me, just a random stranger, and just start jeering at me or something. I've never had that.
Yeah. So
I think if I did, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves.
Exactly. So, I mean, but that's because you've got the capability of doing that. Some people freeze altogether and just kind of like say nothing. I mean, the instance that we're talking about at the moment is he was sat on a local park bench, and a group of like hooligan little kids. I don't know how old they were. I'm guessing kind of like teenage. Was that little teenagers? Wasn't it? He said something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
And there's about 8 of them surround him, start gobbing off, and then they was fucking spitting on him and stuff. He ended up. He mentioned it was that moment of rage inside him, and it was either that he fights or he just gets out of there. And because he's a good guy, he's not a crook, he's not a criminal, he's not a fighter.
No.
So he just got out of there. But how humiliating is that as a man to be, just spat on by kids? And in a way, I always not in that situation. I don't think I would be very capable of against 8 kids, 8 teenagers. They'd probably smash my head in. But I'd like to think that I wouldn't even get picked on.
I don't think you would be fair.
I think it's something about, because I've had some experience with bullies before. I've been bullied in the past, but that was when I was weak and I didn't know how to defend myself. Now I'm much more capable of defending myself, and I think my whole personality and persona just even fends off bullies, and people just don't. I think people don't look at me as a target, if you know what I mean.
But we don't exactly look welcoming.
But this guy, our friend, is probably more soft looking and maybe even presents himself as a bit of a victim. Like, he may have looked worried as those kids were about, and then they saw him and picked on him. Or maybe they were just looking, like, blaming him is possibly the wrong thing, and maybe they were just looking for trouble and they picked on everyone they saw that day.
Kids are little pricks these days.
Exactly.
Not all of them.
I'd love to take him and teach him how to fight, though. He's had boxing lessons before. Have you seen the video of him boxing? He fell over.
Oh, no.
He's not a boxer, but he's I'd love to teach him how to fight just so he can defend himself. And I'd like to get. Do you remember Fight Club, the movie?
Yeah.
And like one of the first things they do is they went out for the first week and they just told people to get into a fight because it breaks that fear of being in a fight. Once you're in a fight and you get punched in your face and you're like, oh, actually, it's not that bad. Sometimes it is really bad.
I've never been punched.
We've got plenty of years of marriage left yet. Don't worry.
You punched me the other day when you saw a fucking Volkswagen Beetle.
That's because they're punch buggies, so they're allowed. And I never hit, where anyone can see it, so it's right. So yeah, I think if I just taught Matt how to fight, and then like in that film Fight Club, you go out and you get into a fight, and you realise even if you get your ass kicked, it's not that bad most of the time. But no, I really would like to teach Matt how to fight, and then like the movie, go out there and like have a fight, just so that you can see that even if you get your ass kicked, it's really not that bad. And unless you fight someone who does actually kick your ass and hurt you, maybe pick someone smaller than you. But yeah, you need to realise that fighting isn't scary, and then suddenly you don't get picked on. I think you just have that bubble around you of just not being picked on.
He needs to carry something. A taser. Something. Get himself tooled up.
Yeah. You've tased me a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, it's good fun.
It's not that bad. Well, it is
It's
that
not
bad.
that bad.
It's okay.
It's not that bad. It just feels like a really strong. What's it called?
Electric shock.
No, like elastic band snap.
Yeah.
Like that. Imagine if you get down with like a bungee cord or something.
Mm.
That's what it would feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. But yeah. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, because I don't think we've actually done any kind of like topical stuff since Ukraine got invaded. So I don't know.
Did we do one then?
I've done a podcast since then, but I don't think I've ever spoken about anything. But I've always gone on about prisoners should be given the option of going into the army, and we've seen it in action actually, but for the wrong side. The Wagner group are using for Russia are using prisoners, where they literally go in there to the prisons and say, look, you've got the option, you can go and fight in the army, or you can sit and do the rest of your sentence. They're giving them something like 6 months in the army, and then you can finish. You can just go.
That's fucked up.
I know. Can you imagine? Because what if you're in there for murder or something, or worse crimes, and even like thieves and things aren't supposed to be going out.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, but they're putting these people on the battlefield, and that's why we're seeing such atrocities in some areas, because you've got thieves and crooks and criminals on the battlefield.
Yeah, it sounds horrendous. What's going over there?
So I'm guessing that maybe emptying the prisons into the army isn't the best idea. For some reason, I'm thinking that our British Army lads will snap these crooks into line, but maybe crooks are just crooks and shitbags, and they wouldn't make committed soldiers. But I was thinking, because when the war did kick off, it was looking a lot like, because we didn't see how incapable Russia actually was, but it was looking like it could possibly be the start of World War III.
Could still well be.
It could be, but I did consider joining the Ukrainian sort of, what is it, like the National Defence Army. Yeah. I'd love to see how that bloke is from the beginning of the war.
Stood outside that hotel.
I'm going to flash up a picture of him now in the podcast. But if anyone who remembers that, yeah, he was outside the embassy asking like, "How do we get into the Ukraine Foreign Legion, innit?"
Yeah, him and his mate.
Yeah, we want to go down there and kick some Russians, innit?
I don't think he was fully prepared with what was going to happen.
I read an article that a lot of them did get sort of see the front line and then run, and sort of come straight back again. I'd love to see where he is now. He must have an Instagram. I bet he's got a TikTok.
I'd go on a tank.
I would love to be a tank driver, but my problem is I'm colourblind and deaf in one ear. So we had some gunfire the other day, didn't we? It was like they were doing some clay pigeon shooting, and I was looking in completely the wrong direction.
I was halfway.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'd be that effective on the battlefield.
Useless.
I'd have to be like a mechanic or something. We all know they're not real soldiers. No, but yeah, it was about 1,400 a month to join the army, and that was slightly more than what I was on in the NHS. So I was just thinking maybe that would be a good idea. No. Save it up, send it back to you.
No.
But yeah, hopefully we won't have to get dragged into that. But if we do, and you're listening to this in the future, like in some sort of dystopian version of the UK where only podcasts are available, there's no news, and we're at war, some sort of nuclear holocaust. It would last about a day, I reckon, a nuclear war, and then everyone's just done.
Russia will get obliterated off the face of the planet before they do anything else.
I don't think they're... Well, we don't know. Like, from the Russian army so far, they haven't been that effective. It's like World War II tactics of just like artillery, and then
They've got trenches and everything, haven't they?
I know. It's scary how...
shocked by that.
It's scary how familiar it looks from the past, isn't it?
Yeah.
From sort of the old days. And I'm really glad that my nan and granddad aren't around, because they would have seen this at our age. Well, no, actually, no, they would have been younger. They would have been in their 20s. Oh, fuck about. Yeah, they would have been in their 20s or something. I don't know.
My granddad lied to get in the Navy.
A lot of people did. A lot of people thought, because there was a lot of glory in war. There was a lot of glory in war back in the day, and you sort of became a man by going to war. But wars weren't seen as they are sort of... Wars weren't anything like they were in sort of World War One and Two, and then it kind of just got worse and worse.
All his brothers were in the Navy, and he was like the youngest, I think, and he wanted to go off to like be with them, so he lied about his age.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, man. I mean, we may still see a lot of this now. So, talking of TikToks, I am thinking of setting up a William Bonney TikTok where I'm going to kind of I'll go through my whole sort of prison story again, and now I've learned how to talk effectively and not sound like such a out of breath moron. It may sound a little better. So yeah, I'll let you know when I set up a TikTok. I did set up. Well, now I've got this mic. I've been sort of telling stories. I've only told sort of 2 of them, so don't worry. I'm just as unproductive on TikTok as I am on YouTube. But yeah, I'll be setting up a William Bonney TikTok to kind of try and suck more fans in from around the world to create more content to listen to. I've been getting a lot of people messaging me and finding the channel because they have loved ones in prison, or they've got a loved one on the way, or something like that. So yeah, for my new fans and new listeners, if you want to put in the comments any questions, or if you want to message me on Instagram with any questions you'd like to see answered in videos, then by all means give me a shout. I'll do a couple of videos again about what to expect from prison, and how to support people, what what it's like really, for the first couple of weeks in prison, maybe, because I've done the first 24 hours, so maybe the first couple of weeks in prison, first month in prison, maybe. Yeah, because it's it can be a pretty lonely affair, but once you got through the first 3 weeks and into induction, and if someone's on a long sentence, they'll try and push them towards doing courses and things like that. So it can, it does start to get going, but it can take a sort of a month or so to kind of get settled. So yeah, any questions, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you very much for listening again. It's been nice to kind of talk. I find these things therapeutic, so even if you don't enjoy listening to them, I enjoy saying them. So.
Anyway, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't enjoy listening, why are you still here now? It's a bit weird, if anything. I think you're the weird one. And I love the people that are still here now, because you always support me, and thank you very much for messaging me whenever I'm feeling low. So thanks guys. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.